What is a tornado? That's a great question. And the answer? It kind of depends on who you ask. Today, we're going to look at this incredible force of nature through 3 totally different lenses. So let's dive in and see what happens when we put them all together.
So think about it. To really get a handle on something this powerful, what do you need? Is it all about feelings, or is it just the facts? Or maybe it's the safety warnings? Well, the answer is, yep, all 3. To get the full picture, you've got to think like a storyteller, a scientist, and a reporter. Each one has a key piece of the puzzle.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll check out the storyteller's angle. Then, we'll put on our lab coats for the scientist's take. After that, we'll see how our reporter covers it. And then, for the grand finale, we'll bring all 3 views together to see the complete, amazing picture.
Okay, first up, the storyteller's tornado. This one is all about getting into the feeling of it all, the raw power, the emotional impact of a storm. It's not just about what's happening, but what it feels like when it's happening.
Wow, just listen to this line from the book Tornado by Jules Archer. Tornadoes blasting over barnyards have stripped chickens of their feathers. I mean, how wild is that? It's such a bizarre, specific detail, you can practically see it in your head. Now that is the power of a good story.
So what the author is doing there is using a really cool literary tool called imagery. It's basically when a writer uses words that are so vivid, they paint a picture in your mind and make you feel like you're right there. I mean, that picture of featherless chickens, it sticks with you way more than just saying the wind was really strong, right? It makes the danger feel totally real.
And this right here tells us what the author is really trying to do. They're not just trying to teach you facts. No, they want you to feel the storm's incredible power, to understand just how strange and unpredictable it can be. The goal is to get an emotional reaction out of you, whether that's awe or fear or just wow.
And that's the big takeaway for the storyteller's view. Stories connect us to the human experience of an event. They're what make the facts actually matter.
All right, time to switch gears completely. Let's take off that storyteller hat and put on our safety goggles, because we're heading into Section 2, the scientist's tornado. With this one, we're leaving emotion at the door and focusing purely on the cold, hard data.
So how in the world do you measure something as wild and chaotic as a tornado? It's not like you can just stick a thermometer in it, right? Well, they use this thing called the Enhanced Fujita Scale, or EF scale for short. And it's actually a pretty brilliant system. It rates a tornado's strength by looking at the clues it leaves behind. The damage.
So the way the scale works is by connecting wind speed to the kind of damage you'd see in the real world. You can totally see how it steps up. And EF0, that's got winds around, say, 70 miles per hour. It might just snap some tree branches. But then you jump all the way to an EF3 with winds over 130 miles per hour. Now we're talking about trains getting flipped over. And at the very top, an EF5, we're talking winds over 200 miles an hour. That can literally wipe a well-built house clean off its foundation. So in this case, the damage itself tells you the story of the storm's real power.
And you might be wondering, wait, why is it called enhanced? Good question. The original scale actually got a big update back in 2007. See, scientists figured out that to get a really accurate estimate of the wind speed, they needed to look at how the wind affects all sorts of different buildings, what they call damage indicators. So now they look at everything from a small barn to a school, even a giant shopping mall. Because hey, more data means better science.
Okay, let's do a quick check. Take another look at that chart. If a tornado was strong enough to flip over trains and rip most of the trees out of a forest, what EF rating would you give it? Go on, take a second to think about it.
Did you guess EF3? If so, you nailed it. The description for an EF3 specifically mentions overturned trains. And see, this shows you exactly what the scientific lens is all about, giving us objective, measurable facts, and a shared way to talk about just how strong a tornado really is.
Okay, we've got one more lens to look through. Let's move on to our third and final one, the reporter's tornado. So we felt the emotion, we've looked at the data. What's left? Well, it's all about putting that information to good use, to keep people safe. When you're looking at a news report, the author's purpose is usually pretty straightforward. They're there to inform the public. This article from Florida, for example, isn't telling you some dramatic story or breaking down the physics of wind. Nope. Its one job is to tell people about a new alert system, explain how it works, and show why it's a big improvement. It's all about practical, time-sensitive information. So if you had to boil this whole article down to just one sentence, the main point, this would be it. This is the central idea. An improved emergency alert system that can hit you up on your cell phone is absolutely essential for public safety. And this is why it's such a big deal.
Think about it. Those old-school tornado sirens are fine, but what if you're inside a solid building or in your car? You might not even hear them. But a modern system that sends an alert right to the phone in your pocket, that can reach you pretty much anywhere, and that gives you crucial seconds to get to safety.
And you'll notice that to really drive the point home, reporters will often use quotes from experts. Right here we have the emergency management director confirming just how important this new tech is. A quote like this adds a ton of credibility and really backs up the article's main point.
Okay, so we've looked through all three of our lenses, the storyteller, the scientist, and the reporter. Now comes the really cool part. Let's put it all together and see how they create the full picture.
Let's just compare the first two for a second. On one hand, you've got the story, Tornado, which uses that vivid imagery to really get you emotionally invested. On the other hand, you have the scientific text, which is all about data and charts to explain the how and why in a logical way. One is all about feeling, the other is all about facts. Totally different approaches to the very same topic.
But here's the thing, they're not competing with each other. They actually complete the picture. The stories make us care about how these storms affect real people. The science gives us the hard data we need to measure and even predict them. And the news, well, it takes all of that and turns it into practical, life-saving advice. You really do need all three pieces.
And that is why learning to combine different sources is such a powerful skill. It actually takes you on a journey. You start by feeling the power of the storm. Then you move on to understanding its actual strength. And you end up knowing exactly how to prepare for it. It's a journey from emotion to knowledge to action. So, I'll leave you with this one last question to chew on. How do these three totally different ways of talking about the world, storytelling, science, and news reporting, all come together to do the one thing that matters most: improve public safety and save lives? It's something to think about next time you're learning about any big event. Thanks for tuning in.